Hello and welcome to a review of the reading section of our most recent Practice ACT. My name is Jordan Boyd, and today we are going to be going through the top 5 most commonly missed questions. So as you remember, nearly all juniors take a Practice ACT, and the environment that you experience that day is going to be pretty similar to what it's like to actually go take an ACT, where you have to show an ID, you're shown your seat, it's timed, there's a 10-minute break partway through, all that good stuff is what it's like to actually take an ACT. By now you should have received your score, and hopefully you also kept your test booklet, but if you didn't, that's okay. I've got some things built into this video that are going to help you sort of stay up with what we're doing even if you don't have your booklet. So good news, we did improve in every area. We were also the top high school in the district on this Practice ACT. Our average composite was 19.2. And as far as reading specifically goes, our average went up by 2 points, which is fantastic. So keep up the good work on ACT reading, folks. Like I mentioned, today we are going to review the top 5 most commonly missed questions. You can refer to your booklet, so take that out now if you've not done so already, or simply pay attention to the screen. The top 5 most commonly missed questions were 2, 24, 34, 37, and 39. Interestingly enough, all of these were key ideas and details question. They are the most common type of question. They do rely on a close sort of detailed reading of what's happening. They require you to, if we go over to the right-hand side, find central ideas and themes, summarize information, understand relationships, draw inferences and conclusions. They also require you to, understand sequences, compare and contrast, and cause and effect. Things like that. These really just rely on a close reading of the passage at hand. We're going to start with question number 2. So number 2 says, based on the assertion in passage A that Luke's attitude about how people treated their pianos seemed to mirror his philosophy of life, lines 25 through 26, which are excerpted above, which of the following statements would most nearly describe Luke's philosophy of life? So the correct answer here is F. It's better to live a full and imperfect life than not participate because something might go wrong. 49%, nearly half of students said G, life is a fragile gift that must be cherished and kept safe at all times. And if we go up to the passage, maybe it makes a little bit of sense why G was an effective distractor. Let's see, while regarding the depredations worked by children on keyboards and strings, he regarded them as tolerable because the piano was at least being used, and as he put it, it was at the heart of the family. It's more than a piece of furniture, but it was that too, and if drinks were spilled and stains bit into shiny finishes, it was the price one paid for initiating the young to a joy that should stem from familiarity rather than reverence. It's okay to use it, and it's okay if it gets a little bit dinged up in the use because it becomes beautiful through its use, and there's a place for it in a family. It doesn't have to remain pristine in order to be valuable, in other words. So that's why F is going to be the best answer there. Next up is question number 26. This says, the author most strongly suggests that one reason commercial photographers began to photograph Native American communities was that commercial photographers were, and the right answer here is J, influenced to do so by the photogs who had joined government expeditions to the West, and I've excerpted the part of the passage that's going to support that being the right answer. There was no big single distractor with this. There wasn't another answer that nearly half of students chose. It was kind of spread out across the board. This detail might have just been a little bit buried in the passage and maybe students had a rough time finding it. This is one of the reasons why it's good to review what the questions are asking before you go up to the passage. If you reviewed the questions and you knew to look out specifically for commercial photographers and what their reasons for doing so, and you had that in mind as you read, then hopefully you're able to identify that information and get this question correct. Now for these next 3 questions, they do come toward the end of the test, and if your testing experience was anything like what I observed in the room that I helped to proctor, I saw that there were a lot of students who were rushing towards the end. Maybe they're guessing because they know that it's better to guess than to leave a question blank. So for these last 3, I'm wondering if maybe that's not a reason why these were commonly missed. These are ones that students simply guessed on if they even were able to read the question and make a guess. Maybe it's just one they sort of filled in the bubble on. So what I'm going to do for these next 3 is give you the opportunity to pause and to see if you can't find the answer before I tell you what the answer is. Think of this as sort of like a test retake in a sense. So if you'd like, you can pause it now and try to find the answer. Otherwise, I'll come back to you in just a few seconds. So if you chose to pause, way to be involved. I'm proud of you from afar. So let's see, based on the passage, which of the following plants and animals employ a communal strategy to survive in the desert? The answer here is J, honeypot ants only. Hopefully you were able to get that from the excerpt that I have featured here. The entire passage is going to also talk about other plants and other creatures like cacti and ants and things like that. But the correct answer in this case is going to be J. 31% of students said G, the saguaro cactus, and this frog only. But J is going to be the most correct answer. And again, that's just a key ideas and details thing that's going to rely on a close reading of the passage. The next commonly missed question was number 37, dealing with that same passage. Again, pause now if you'd like to try to answer it yourself. Otherwise, I'll come back to you in a few seconds. All right, and question number 37 here, based on the passage, it can most reasonably be inferred that the scarring some seeds require before germination is accomplished through. The correct answer is D, abrasion sustained during flash floods. And if we go up here to the very middle of the passage, others have seed coats that must be mechanically scarred to permit sufficient wetting for germination, and the scarring happens only when they're subjected to flash floods in the riverbeds where they grow. That's going to support D being the best answer. Similarly to another question, there was a lot of answers that were spread out. These are really effective distractors, though, because the passage does talk about other things that happen to seeds. However, if it's specifically asking for things that are required before germination, abrasion sustained during flash floods is going to be the best answer there. And again, key ideas and details, it just relies on your close understanding of the passage. And this one was difficult. Only 19% of students answered correctly. Finally is question number 39, the second to last question. Again, pause if you'd like to try to answer it. Otherwise, I'll come back to you in a few seconds. All right, question number 39. According to the passage, which of the following actions did people in the Negev desert take in order to farm there? The correct answer is C, constructing terraces. We get that right over here, not only by making terraces, but also by building large cisterns into which the water was directed to be held for later use. And again, there's no single big distractor. There wasn't an answer that was super popular for students to select instead of the correct answer. And again, key ideas and details, it does just rely on that really close reading of the passage. And yet again, if you read the questions or just kind of previewed them before you read the passage, you would know to look for what the people in the Negev desert did in order to farm there. You'd sort of have that goal in mind before reading. And so hopefully that would increase your chances of answering this successfully. So, thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully you got something out of this and you feel a little bit more confident than going into your next reading ACT. Thank you so much, and I will come back to you guys later.